Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Brad Jackson. I'm a business development manager with Cyberscience. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk about CloudSuite distribution and how you can do data discovery using Cyberquery. The agenda we will cover today is first, we will talk about the SX.e market history in regards to Cyberquery and how SX.e users over the past several years have gotten value and insight into their information. Then we'll jump into continued client requirements as folks move into CSD. Anytime there's a new application, often BI tools will change. They will be altered slightly to try to allow folks to get information out of those new systems. Cyberquery, we'll jump into a slide for that, and we'll talk how from the M4, the data lake, how you can get custom insight out of that information with Cyberquery. We'll jump into a round one of Q&A right around the middle of the demonstration or of the presentation. And then we'll jump into a brief demonstration on how to use Cyberquery for that data discovery and ad hoc reporting. Next, I'll talk about our free test drive and how you can actually see it working up against your own data. I think the power is really within that test drive to see Cyberquery working on your system and see the value very quickly on what you can get. And then we'll go ahead and finish up with one final round of Q&A. So you may ask yourself, well, who are Cyberquery customers? Maybe you've heard of us, maybe you haven't. But here are several different customers that are well-known names that do Cyberquery and have over the years. So for SX.e market history, we have been working, Cyberscience has been working with SX.e market for over 7 years and 20 years with the M4 products. That started out with the old M4 Bond or LN product. And we also work with the Sightline CSI and M3 product, among others as well. So we've been doing this for quite a while now. One of the reasons we got into the SX.e market was Cyberquery's had a native Progress connection for over 20 years as well. And so what that allowed us to do is to connect directly into that Progress database using the native APIs versus having to go through some type of intermediate layer like an ODBC driver. Cyberquery isn't just an IT reporting tool. So people love that they can actually have anyone from a power user, even to like someone who's just comfortable with Excel, get value out of Cyberquery. So it wasn't something where the IT staff got overloaded with reporting requests. Cyberquery has a data dictionary, a metadata layer. So in instances where there are user-friendly names at that table level or at the field level, we are able to simplify that and not have it always be the ugly metadata. So often people will have us show the native table names, field names, and then we can swap back and forth as well. Reports being bursted or pushed to folks internally or external. So it was key within the SX.e market. Hey, we need to be able to share this information, not just inside, but outside. Bursted means in a way to send out multiple reports at once for those people and only containing the data that they need. And exception reports. So I only want to see data that meets a certain exception. And you can, of course, put this within our queue director scheduling module as well too. So you're only receiving that when that certain criteria is met. So here are some customers that are moving to Cyberquery with CSD or are on it right now that have used it in the past. So hopefully you know some of these names maybe through your relationships with TUG or other CSD connections here. And that's DCA, Porter Pipe and Supply, and Johnstone Supply, the Northwest Division. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to jump into one example of those and why they chose Cyberquery in the very beginning. And that example I'm going to use today is Vera Barsikoff. She's a senior data analyst with Johnstone Supply. And when she went to the market looking for a BI tool, Here's what she said. She needed something that was robust, powerful, something that could grow with their need to analyze data. So she looked at several different products and she ended up with Cyberquery. So why did she choose CQ? Well, once again, a big thing was that native Progress connection. It allowed us to have fast connections into that Progress database. We were able to connect multiple tables that often bogged down databases using other connection methods. So that was a huge plus for her. In addition, she loved the ability to be able to basically manage her access to the data. There was no process of someone else having to cube or stage that data for her. Custom tables. They used custom tables a lot. And so to be able to have that immediate access to that data in those custom tables was very huge. And in Cyberquery, she could do that. Powerful and flexible. Once again, she wanted one product that could do it all. So here's an example of a report that she developed with Cyberquery. She did several. This one I thought was unique because it showed that Vera understood what could be possible with Cyberquery. So within the SX.e system, data was getting overwritten on a monthly basis. So Vera was able to figure out, well, we can create a snapshot of this monthly data and we can put them via SX.e reports and we can output them to CSV files. So she went through that process of saying, okay, we'll put them into CSV files on a monthly basis to make sure we can capture that data. And then we're going to convert them and store them as an indexed Cyberquery hold file for future use. So she was monthly having a set of files that at any time she could go back and look at the data as it was at that point. It was extremely important because she was trying to capture specific prices that were stored by customer type. And the cool thing about it, not only could she report on that information, she could then tie that back to the data within SX.e ongoing. So a huge plus for them. So as we move and as SX.e folks move into CSD or even new CSD clients, what are their requirements? What are we hearing from folks? And that is that they need a fast, and they need it to be easy, and they need it to be flexible. So they're trying to get at their data however they want it, when they want it. The full control over all data, it's related. They want the data to be either on a local or a cloud store that they have full access to. They want access to other applications data. Everyone has more than just the CSD or SX.e app within their system. So whether that's Excel files, CSV files, other databases, whatever, Cyberquery gives access to that data. And we're seeing the same story within the CSD market. And high value. This needs to be at a fair price for what they're getting. So Cyberquery, from data lake, pond, ETL database to insight. So you're going to see I have handles data lake, extract, transform, load, bulk, and incremental. I put the strikeout on the transform because the way we are working with the data lake system currently is we just extract and load all of the tables down so you can have basically a local copy or a cloud copy of that data lake. So we're not just choosing select tables and fields. We do that through a bulk process, and then we go ahead and do incrementals throughout the day or daily, depending on what the need is. We can also sit on top of other databases, data ponds. I mentioned the ETL database, which is within M4. So if you already have a data pond implemented, or if you have the M4 ETL, which is a Microsoft SQL database, Cyberquery can easily sit on top of that as well. We just want you to know that it is flexible and can be configured in many different ways. Custom discovery within Cyberquery. So the ability to answer those custom business questions, that ad hoc data discovery capabilities. I'll show you an example here soon. But it's not just data discovery, it's operational reports, financial statements, dashboards, drill downs, data extracts. We have so many people that use Cyberquery to stage data to be sent somewhere else. So it really can do it all when it comes to data. And then last but not least, again, can we still get access to other data sources? Okay. So first range of Q&A. I have questions from before that I'm going to go ahead and put up here. No questions on here, but I have had some questions in the past that I will bring up here from time to time. So one of the questions I have heard when talking to CSD customers, and that is, can it connect directly to the CSD database? And there's commercial reason why we're not connecting to the CSD database. So at that time, that's why we are going through a data lake access through the Compass API. And we can also connect, as I mentioned, those other different methods as well. So let's see if I have any other Q&A. Nothing on there right now. So let's jump into the Cyberquery demonstration. With Cyberquery, it contains its own web server. So it will ask for my login information. This screen will show the different applications or data dictionaries that the user has access to. There is security wrapped around this entire access point. Within each data dictionary or application represented by these bullets, you will see different modules of the Cyberquery suite. The first one right here is Cyberquery HTML. Cyberquery HTML is the query developer, or the ability to modify existing queries. Command line, that will be given to some system management type level users who need to jump into a command line from time to time. Launchpad, which is a reporting portal. How do we share this information that we've developed within Cyberquery? The dictionary manager, also more your sysadmin or DBA type level. So within the dictionary manager, how do we manage that metadata to make it easier for the end users when they start building these reports? CQ Publish is a module to publish reports to Launchpad. And of course, Queue Director is that scheduling piece to add different queries to a queue to run on a preset time to either send information out to people or move them into certain directories and so forth. Very powerful module, Queue Director. So first I'm going to jump in Launchpad. Within Launchpad, you'll see that I have several different areas here. Today, I'm going to go ahead and show you the sales area. So on the left here as well, you can see there's a full search capability too, to if you know the name of a content or a section of it and you want to look for it, you can type that in. But within the sales section here, you can see the different reports that have been published within here. So you'll see different little commands here within Allen. And the first command you can do is to run. That says, go run and give me the latest data. That's running a query real time, all right? The next one is clone. I want to make a copy of this query and I want to add some fields to it, change the sort, whatever. So it's a nice way to give that user the ability just to work with a copy of the query that's published here. Edit, I always warn this one because you're going to be editing the actual query and report that's listed on Launchpad here. So I caution about who you give that to. And then subscriptions. I want to receive this report to me on a timely basis. And I want it to be, every month, and I want it to be in Excel format. So you can see right away, we have multiple versions of formats here. So let's go ahead and run this Allen report real quick. You'll see this is an inventory on hand report with a standard cost and extended cost, and it's listed out by the items and descriptions for purchased items. So real quick list report, it's 7 pages long, and it has some formatting on here as well. Let me show you the Excel add-in piece next. So what the Excel add-in, it's part of the just with Cyberquery, and it allows people to integrate Excel with Cyberquery. So these 3 areas here below, your blue, your green, and your gray, those are all Cyberquery reports. So when parameters are added to these different sections here, or these when values are entered into these parameters, you can refresh the reports. It sends that information back to the Cyberquery server, does all the data churning, and it populates these reports right here. This section over here are Excel calculations based on the Cyberquery reports when you refresh them. And then we have charts within Excel too that are referencing those reports too. So it's utilizing Excel functionality with Cyberquery functionality to do all the work for those millions and millions of records that you might have. You can use this with one worksheet. You can use this with multiple worksheets. At any time you hit save, the next time you pull up your Excel file, you put your parameters in, you say rerun the queries, it reruns the queries back in Cyberquery and displays it all within Excel. So very handy for those folks who love Excel. Here's a dashboard example. So this is going out and running multiple queries and displaying them in charts in a dashboard format, including a report at the bottom here. So you'll see I have a quick sales dashboard with some drill downs. It's accumulated invoiced revenues, margins, and also a 13-month rolling revenue graph. So you can see if I hover over these, I have little information tooltips, but I can also click for a hyperlink menu. This allows you to drill into multiple different things off of this graph. In this example, I have 2 selections. I could have 20 selections if you choose to do so. These links, I like to call them bounded links. It means when you develop the query in Cyberquery to be displayed within this dashboard, you are predetermining what report you're drilling into and what information to pass on to it. I will show you within the development tool how you can look at it any way you want. So within this area, I'm going to click on details for month, and it's going to go out and show me some extended revenue, cost, and margin, including percentage by that sales rep for that November month. You can see hyperlinks on some of these as well. Well, that's because we have this expandable collapse feature. And now, for example, if I click on Barnes International, click for details, it's just going to show me the details for Barnes International. So a nice way to let users go and easily be able to drill into information with very little understanding of the system. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to click on the August one here for my 13-month rolling revenue. It's pulling up a similar report, but just showing you that you can do it with different links and so forth. Okay. Underneath here as well, it's just a hot link to that same type of report if I wanted to expand here as well too. So you can get very creative with this as well. So let's go to the Cyberquery applications section now, and I'm going to show you how a report can be developed within Cyberquery. A quick ad hoc data discovery analysis. So you should see a report wizard pop up. Now, in our latest features or latest versions of Cyberquery, this is something I thought was pretty cool. So we wanted to give people the ability, continue to give people the ability to analyze data. Typically, Cyberquery, when it is set up, it's up against your server. This is a browser client, and you're connecting into that CSD data lake data, which is a copy I've mentioned of it. But this allows you to take a simple CSV file, a simple Excel file that's set up in nice clean columns right from your desktop and just drag it right into Cyberquery, and you can start using the power of Cyberquery for this information. In addition, if that is data that you use but is not collected within, for example, CSD, but you want to tie that back, it gives you the option to save that data and create a definition in our data dictionary. So now you can use that Excel spreadsheet that you're using and tie it back to CSD data. So it's a real quick, powerful way to merge data together when it comes to reporting. So what I'm being asked right now is, okay, what type of report do I want to create? A list, which is detail, summary, which is summarized information, plot, labels, or just pull up an existing query. For today, we're just going to jump into a sum report. Here's all the different data lake tables. We don't have a user-friendly viewpoint for this at this time, but if we have one, we can add it to this for you. I'm going to go ahead and choose my OEEL table as my primary table, or you may know it as a domain file. We call it a domain file or a source file. And I'm going to summarize my order amounts And let's go up here and summarize this by vendor name. So I'm going to go click next first and summarize it by vendor name. Click finish, and it goes out and creates my report for me. You'll see here that looks like I have blank data. So in a real system, I would suggest you start drilling into this like crazy because it looks like someone's not keying in data correctly. But for our example today, I'm just going to go ahead and click deselect where it's null and hide that for me. Now you'll see right now I'm within my report editor, but if I show other windows here, this is our visual editor as well. And we do have the language editor in the background too, which this is the code that's getting, say, the Cyberquery code that gets transferred over to the server, and it actually runs it and gives us the correct information, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and get back to where it just shows my where clause on my reporting editor and work from here. So I want to go and look at this information. I'm looking at all the amounts of orders by vendor, but let's look at it by date as well. So I'm going to drag my invoice date in here. So once again, this is all of our tables within that data lake system, and you can look at it as you like. I see some old 1970 data. Well, let's get rid of that for right now. Choose where it's not equal to that. I want to see this now as a quarter. So let's see how we did on a quarterly performance within these 3 years for these vendors. Insert a copy. Let's show this thing as quarter, choose item properties, sort, quarter, click OK. And let's drag this up into my across section. So really quick, easy way to look at it, by quarter, by year, by vendor. We added another feature recently called our parking lot. So at any time, I want to take this field and just drag it into my parking lot because, you know, I might want that again, but I don't want to recreate it. I'm just going to put it in this little holding area for now. So you can put it in the parking lot. So I'm broken down by amount, by vendors. Let's get some subtotals here. Let's click here. You can see my subtotals now within each of my vendors by year. Let's push this thing out to Excel. If I go to Excel here, you can see it'll only do the subtotal formulas go across, so does the total formulas. So it's a nice way to quickly push data into Excel for folks, okay? My favorite button of all is the undo, okay? So let's go ahead and focus on 2002. Click on 2002, select only 2002, and rank this. Let's see who performed the best in 2002. Okay, let's rank it on amount. Let's get me top 5. So I'm going to choose item properties, rank. Let's do 5 categories. And for now on this specific one, let's suppress that other. I click OK. Quickly, right there, you can see I have the ability to look at my top 5 within 2002. Okay. If I want to drill into this information, so I have my top 5, and let's see what makes up that James River amount. I'm going to choose my drill tool, click into it. Now it remembers what I drilled into as a user, but I'm going to show you from scratch how it works. If I go over and say, well, let's look at the order numbers that make up James River 2002. Just select right there, okay, it drills in. It adds the other back because it doesn't assume that I want the other for every single drill down I do. Okay, well, what about this specific item right here? Let's drill into the specific, the order. Let's look at the items within that order. And you can see, you're just drilling down. You can drill across. You can look at this however you want. On the left side, it's saving this within that where clause at this time. You can go back to the language editor and see what that language is underneath. Okay, let's do our undo here, get back to my clean little top 5 report. Want to switch this to a graph? Just choose your graph option. Let's convert it right here. Quickly, a bar chart. I can drill within the graphs. I can go back to my reporting editor icon as well. let's look at this as a line, or a pie, or a donut. Okay, all different ways to look at this. So this is a cool graphing interface that we've also added recently to give more visualization functionality to Cyberquery. Go back to my bar chart and let me stack it instead. Okay. Let's go back to comparative. How about we show regression lines? So you can really see there's tons of cool functionality there with all those tool tips here that tells you how much it's decreased, the maximum, etc. when I throw that regression line in. Anytime I want to go back, I can just come back and let's switch back to my sum report. And as I said, you can save these at any time. So I'll switch back to sum report on this window, hit file, save the query to save the actual code underneath to rerun it for the latest data. The report will be the output of the query with the format, and the format right here below is if I change my cyber science icon, add borders to this report, or different column, heading fonts, colors, etc. So that's a quick run through of what you can do for easy data discovery, ad hoc analysis within Cyberquery. It was designed to try to make it easy and powerful to where you can get access to analyze all your data that you have. Okay. So let's go back over here. So our test drive, the way the test drive works, it's a 30-day free evaluation. If you're interested, please do follow up and send me an email saying you would like to get a proposal to see what Cyberquery cost. And then also, we will then, if you approve it, we will FTP you the software along with the test drive agreement. We will need system access. We will do the installation for you, load the data dictionary, including the data march from your data lake, if that's how you're configured, and build a couple sample reports for you to prove to you that Cyberquery will work as we're saying it does. After that, you can continue to look at it to build some reports during those 30 days. And then after those 30 days, that is when the subscription begins unless you decide to cancel. So it is very low risk. It requires just a little bit of time on your side, and we will get it set up against your own data so you can start seeing the power of the product. Cyberquery training and consulting is then scheduled at the end of those that initial month. The 1 week is required, but you can also take that second week of advanced training if that's something you're looking for. So, last round of Q&A. Looks like I do have a question. I have a question here, and the first one is, does it have pre-canned dashboards reports? We are building some of those out right now. The idea behind this demo was to show data discovery capability, but we are looking to add some content as we move along. So it's just that we're getting to that. So please do send us your ideas. We would love to know those so we can add to a report library. Can it be on-prem server or host a version? Either. So most people I'm seeing right now have an AWS server and they're putting it on that at this time. Getting lots of questions here. I want to answer as many as I can within our 2 minutes, guys. Another question is the data lake, is it composed of static data? So the data lake is populated, my understanding is throughout the day from CSD. So what we would do is we will work with you on the incremental updates that you want it to be. If you want it to be on an hourly basis, we can do that. And we will only update the tables that are needed. So if you don't have certain tables that don't get loaded on a nightly basis, we can do that on a weekly basis. We can customize that to make it work for you. Another question I had, how does it differ from other products that exist there? You know, I try to stay away from that just because I really want to show the value of Cyberquery. I would say this, Cyberquery strength is it gives you such flexibility to look at the data, to flip it on its head, to dial into anything that you want as a customer. A lot of other products, I will say this, they like to provide a lot of content, but when you get into dialing in and trying to really find out what works for your organization, it can sometimes be a challenge to do that. So I do think that Cyberquery excels in that area. So I don't see any other questions. So I want to thank you again, everyone, for joining me for this quick data discovery and analysis up against CSD. Please do follow up with any other questions, or if you would like a proposal, we would love to get you into a test drive to show you how powerful the product can be. Thanks again.